was hired by Napa County to help create the Napa County Regional Park and Open Space District. The voters approved that 6 years ago, and I've been the general manager of that ever since. The reason why the Park District was created is that Napa County didn't have much in the way of parks that people can go out to other than city parks. My job has been to open up public lands that are owned by the public, but in fact were not open to the public as our first focus, and then to protect open space lands as the opportunities arise. Initially, California State Parks was one of the premier park systems in the country. Starting a couple of decades ago, it had its budget cut repeatedly as the state was running out of money, having other budget problems. Parks was one of the first places to cut. And the first thing that happened is that the state park system stopped taking care of the parks they had. So there's a lot of deferred maintenance. About a year ago, the state park said, we can't do that anymore. If we cut anymore, it's just not appropriate. And so instead of cutting service completely, or cutting service in a temporary way, they said, we're just going to close parks and then take better care of the ones that we have left. Both a Napa Valley State Park and the Vail Gristmill State Historic Park in Napa County were proposed for closure. So when they proposed closing the two state parks here in Napa, a lot of people came to our district and said, what can we do about this? And so we put together a proposal together with the State Parks Association, Napa Valley State Parks Association, which is a nonprofit that's been here for 25 years with volunteers helping out those parks. So our association together with the district formed a partnership and put together a proposal that says, here's how we want to keep these parks open. And we spent 9 months negotiating with the state over that agreement. Meanwhile, the state had closed the campground and basically it closed all of the facilities at the state park. You could still go in for day use for hiking, but that was it. April 1st of this year, our agreement was effective, and so we reopened the campground and we've been running the park since then. The challenge for us is that we have to make it self-supporting financially. We don't have any outside funding other than what we can generate at the park or what we can raise from donations. The state park system had budgeted about $500,000 a year in expenses, and their income from that park was around $250,000. So, that's a big challenge, of how to cut $2 in expenses for every dollar that you make. We have a plan to do that, and it involves a couple of things. One is there's a lot of old buildings at the park. The state park was initially the Paradise Hotel, which was a resort. The state took it over in the 1970s. But it means there's a lot of historic buildings there. There's some old cabins, there's some old craftsman houses, and they're all in very, very poor shape. So we've raised a lot of money from the community. At this point, around $250,000 in pledges and actual cash in hand at this point, to help fix up those buildings and reuse them so they can be productive assets for the park. The economics of it are pretty straightforward. The Napa Valley lives off of tourism. I mean, that is the core of our economy. And there are various economic analyses of how much money a tourist generates and how much a camper brings into the community. I don't remember those numbers offhand, but clearly those two parks, both the Napa Valley State Park and the Vail Gristmill, generate several $1 million a year of benefit, economic benefit to the community because of all the visitors that go there. Something like 50,000 people a year visit the two parks. In terms of the Napa Valley, one of the big pushes is to have more things for visitors to do. The Vail Gristmill is, if you've ever been there, it's I think one of the two remaining operating water-driven grinding mills for grain west of the Mississippi. And it's a cool place. If you haven't been there, it's definitely worth going. So you can see what life was like in the 1850s. And I think that's an important thing for people to have some connection to their community. And all of the fundraising we're doing for the state park is looking for funds to help us deal with the deferred maintenance at the park. to fix up the old buildings so they're productive and they can generate income. So that in the long term, it's not an ongoing subsidy. So that, basically it's seed money to get us over the hump, to get past the deferred maintenance. And then our challenge is to turn that into an ongoing cash flow. One of the things that we've done from the beginning, because of the money being tight, but also because I believe in it, is we're very volunteer oriented. As much as possible, we try to use volunteers, organize volunteers to do the work that needs to get done. Anything from replanting trees to building trails. Most volunteers don't want to clean the toilets, but there's a lot of things that volunteers can do, and it saves money for us, but more important than that, it provides a connection between the community and the outdoors and the park, so that they own them. In their own minds, they own them, and that's very important to our success. I grew up playing outdoors. This was my life, and I love the outdoors because I had that experience. Most kids today grow up in the city, and they don't have that ability to just walk out their door and see the birds, or get their hands dirty, or play in a creek, turn over a rock and see what kind of bug is underneath it. Those kind of experiences, that natural play, is what makes people appreciate and take care of the outdoors. If we don't have places like these parks, the next generation is not going to know what it is. And if they don't know what it is, they're not going to love it and try to protect it.